Hi everybody! Today we're going to be working on this little guy here, and he is from The Way Home colouring book by Morgan O'Brien. I think sadly this one is now out of print, but as you can see from all the flags along the top there, this is one that I do want to finish at some point, so I've taken the opportunity to work in it today. And I'm going to be using these Decotime acrylic markers, because lately on YouTube I've been seeing lots of videos about acrylic markers. I've never really tried them myself, and I spotted these when I was out shopping in B&M here in the UK, and I thought I'd get them and give them a try. They were fairly cheap, they were only £4. You do get 24 colours because there's one colour on each end of each pen. And I thought the pictures in this book, being fairly simple, kind of blocky and chunky, they would be quite good for testing out these markers, see if there's something I can get along with. Hopefully they will work on this Amazon paper, because as usual I'm jumping in without any testing going on here. So it'll be a learning experience for all of us, I think. So not much really else to say. I'm going to be playing around with these markers and this picture. So we'll zoom us in and we'll get started with the first step, which is probably going to be swatching these colours and see what we've actually got. Okay, I've taken all the markers out of the box there, so you can see the kind of selection of colours that we do have. There's 24 colours, as I said, because there's one on each end of each pen. There's 12 pens with one colour on each end, with two shades of the same colour, like a dark purple and a light purple, a dark blue and a light blue. So now I'm just going to go ahead and swatch these all out in this book here. If we just ignore those paints at the top, those are the paints I bought for my pound shop challenge. I'll just swatch all these pens out here and we'll see what we've actually got. And hopefully I'll be able to work with that range of colours and fill in our little picture. I'm not entirely sure if I'll be able to use all of these colours or just a small selection of them, but the whole point is to see how the pens actually work, if they're worth buying in case anyone else is actually interested in that. So I'll go ahead and start swatching these out now. So here we go, we're going to start with the black. I'm not entirely sure if that's white on the other side, but oh, it doesn't seem to like this paper very much, so hopefully they will work on the Amazon paper. That is soaking into the paper pretty fast. It does seem to have white on the other side of this pen, so yeah, that's the white. Just test there whether it does actually work on top of the black. That was probably a bad idea because the black isn't dry, but yeah, it does seem to work on top of that black, which is interesting. Next we're going to go for this grey. We have two shades of grey on this one here. Sort of a mid-tone grey there. I wouldn't say that's dark, I'd say that's more of a mid-tone grey. And we have this very, very light grey. Okay. Brown. So far there doesn't seem to be so many dark colours. That's the one thing I've noticed straight away, apart from the black. All of these are more kind of mid-tone, I think. This one, there doesn't seem to be that much difference between the colours, so we'll see once we test them out. That's kind of a slightly darker red, I suppose, and this one is more, oh, that one's more of a salmony pink. Interesting. I suppose that's along the magenta lines, maybe, and that's a salmony pink. We have dark orange. And sort of a lighter, could be maybe a skin tone at a push, that light orange there. But I did purposely choose a picture that doesn't have any skin tones in it because I wasn't entirely confident on my abilities to be able to create a skin tone with these markers. Those are the greens that we'll probably be using for little baby Grogu. Quite a nice aqua blue here, still trying to keep everything on the camera. That's a very nice aqua blue. And I'm hopeful that I will be able to overlay these light colours over the darker colours. I wouldn't say they were dark exactly, but darker colours to maybe get a few effects going on. I don't really have that much experience with actual acrylic paint, to be honest with you, so I'm hoping it's similar to gouache, maybe. And the point on that one, not entirely sure if that would maybe show up on the camera at all, but the point on that one is a little bit fluffy. That is not a very nice fine point. That is a fluffy point on that light blue. But you get what you pay for, I guess. We're going to see how well they actually work in any case. This is a nice gold yellow there. And a very, very bright yellow. Okay. Moving on to the purple. Again, this one has a bit of a fluffy nib. That one, the nib is kind of split and a little bit fluffy on that one. I don't think I'll be using the purple, at least in this picture. I should maybe make note of that so I do know. And I've gone on to the dark pink and the light pink without actually testing what was the light purple like. Oh, that's a nice little pink. But we did forget the light purple. Let's see. I'll put them under there. Oh, that's a really nice kind of lavendery lilac colour. That's nice. We have another red, which is more of a brighter kind of scarlety red. Another pink that's more slightly towards the skin tone kind of side. I think those two maybe could point towards kind of skin tones for a lighter skin tone. These for a darker skin tone. So maybe I could have picked a portrait kind of style page, but I wanted to go for something fairly simple, as it is my first time using these sorts of markers and I don't really have that much experience with acrylic in general. I figured I'd go for a fairly simple picture, hoping that I can make something good happen. So I'll keep those swatches to the side so I can actually see what kind of colours I am working with, and I'll bring our colouring page back in. Okay, so diving right in. I really should have tested on paper first, but this is me. We all know I don't test. I just dive right in and see what I can make happen. So, of course, little baby Grogu, he's green. So I'm going to fill him all in with the light green. Try and add some simple shadows with this darker green on the other end of the marker, and then maybe we'll see how well things are working. I might actually be able to add some highlights with the yellow or with the actual white. So here goes nothing. We'll see how well this actually works on the paper. Last time I did use water-based media in this book, it did wrinkle quite a lot, so I'm kind of hoping that doesn't happen. Knowing my luck, it will, but we're going to see how well we can make this happen. And these all have a kind of a brush nib on them. There's no kind of choice between a brush and a chisel, as you would have with alcohol markers. So I'm guessing these kind of nibs would wear down pretty fast. Oops, kind of the lines a little bit there. It is kind of hard working at this kind of an angle. I suppose I could always go back over those lines with the black marker. If anyone does have these pens and this book, then if this has worked and you're watching this video, so yeah, it's probably worked. Feel free to colour along, and going over that line there, that's kind of showed that they're not entirely opaque. We'll probably need, if we want our colours to be entirely opaque, we'd probably need a couple of coats, judging from that. You can see there from the line under his eye there. I've gone over the line work, and that line work is still showing through, so we're not entirely opaque here. I don't really have any other kind of acrylic markers to compare them to, but if any of you do have the other, I think it's Artex, ones that people have been using a lot lately, then please comment below. If these are, how much worse these are. I'm not expecting them to be better at all, not for the price point. I'm figuring there won't be super much in the way of shading. Trying to keep it fairly kind of cell shaded, sort of like animation, cartoon style. That is sort of the style of the drawing anyway. They can be done realistically. I have tried, I think, in the past to colour them slightly realistically. But in this occasion, I'm thinking keeping it as simple as possible with just the dark shade and the light shade. Maybe bringing in the white, or as I've said, the yellow maybe for highlights on Baby Yoda himself here. Yeah, the colour is kind of sinking into this paper. Drawing hopefully fairly quickly, because then I will be able to go on top with the shading. I've no idea if you can actually blend these. Maybe I should watch a few tutorials, but it would be nice to be able to blend them to get some smoother kind of shading going on. But which way are we going to have our light coming? Seeing as we're this way around, we'll go for this way, try and be a little bit neater with a kind of darker shading here. Maybe I could bring in the grey for a little bit of shading too. Can you blend them like you blend alcohol markers? That's a... No. So if there is a blending technique, it's different than there is from our alcohol markers. Let's try keeping the kind of cell shaded animation look. Work with that. Maybe go back in at the end and tidy up the line art that I've gone over. I've never been the neatest. Whatever medium I'm using, I'm not going to be the neatest, I'm afraid, guys. And this ear would be quite further back because his head is turned that way, so we'll add a little bit of shading there, I think. Not entirely sure if that would be correct. Looks about right. Do we have a little bit here as well? Maybe. I suppose one thing, if these pens are able to, you're able to use the light shade on top of the darker shade, messing up would be less of a problem. Does that look about right? I don't know, it's not the way I usually work at all. Quite fun, I suppose. I'm not entirely sure if you could bring in water, like a damp paintbrush, and maybe blend those colours as they're water-based acrylic. I really don't know. Maybe I'll try that in a little bit, just to see once they've dried if you can actually blend them, but that's not looking too bad, I don't think. How bad does this yellow look? This is the light yellow. How bad does that look for making? I'll try and keep things fairly simple. Yeah, I'm thinking that green. I'm not sure if that is showing up on the camera, whether I can bring that up any closer. We can focus in there. You can see that the streak marks, the brush marks are actually showing in there. So I'm definitely thinking maybe a couple of layers. I'm not sure if that's also true for the Artex markers or any other brand. As I said, I've never actually tried this before. Hopefully we're back in focus here now from being further away. So I'll try maybe another layer of that green. And it has blended very slightly here where I tested. Here along the edge, just going over very quickly when the colour was still wet, so you can blend slightly that way. Just these streak marks are kind of annoying because when I colour with flat colour, maybe with gouache or alcohol markers, I do like it to be properly flat without the pen marks. So I'll try and blend those in with another layer. I'm not entirely sure how well that will work. The paper is surprisingly holding up. I was expecting this Amazon paper to be pilling or tearing up by now. Having to go in with another layer, but no. We can actually tidy up our shading there a little bit. Yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan of this streakiness, to be honest. If we can make it a little bit less obvious with another layer, then yeah. Maybe it's something I can work with, but maybe they'll just be something that I use to bring in for tiny little pieces of a colouring or for highlights or for covering. Maybe trying to cover line art a little bit. Although they're only kind of semi-opaque, I think at least a couple of layers are probably needed. The darker green is not so bad. I'm not sure if that's the actual pen or because it is on top of the lighter green that is proving itself to be a more streak-free kind of colour, I presume is a word I could use. So that's the greens. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to cope with these trees. Maybe I'll just do those with the darker green in the background there, but for now, that's looking okay to me. For his robe, I was thinking maybe the same kind of idea, filling it all with the lighter brown, going in with the darker brown for some shadows, but we do know now that we will probably need 2 layers of this colour. I'm not entirely sure if this is a kind of a fawn or a tan colour. It's not entirely brown, I don't think. It's not like a sand brown maybe. But yeah, we'll probably need 2 layers if you want to be completely opaque with these, I think. But fun to try, and I think especially for the Morgan O'Brien books or anything along those lines, maybe like Matchstick Mouse, things like that, then they would be fairly quick. And anyone who has actually got experience painting with acrylics could probably use them a lot better than what I'm being able to here. I've missed his hand. There's always something, always something. Yeah, I'm thinking the nibs are nice to have, the kind of brush nibs, but judging from the fact that a few of them are already pretty fluffy coming straight out of the packet, that they would wear out kind of quickly, although they're cheap enough that maybe you could just go straight out and buy another one. And I think for the larger areas, the brush nib not entirely ideal because the brush marks are showing through, as I've said, and you'll probably need a couple of coats to get anywhere near opaqueness out of them. So pretty streaky, I think is what I'm trying to say. Pretty streaky on these large areas. Yeah, definitely streaky on this kind of robe he's got going on here. It's definitely interesting to play with them though. Definitely worth getting just for the experience of it. Let's try this darker brown. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's because we are going over the lighter colour or if it's just because they are darker pens, but the darker colours don't seem to be as streaky. Let's see. Maybe it's just that you do need a couple of coats. Let's try and see if we can blend. It's something that will take a bit of practice, I think, if I do want to carry on using them, but it is a fun experiment. Back to the dark side. Dark side of the pen, not the dark side of the force. Maybe a little bit of a shadow there because we do have his collar coming in. Try a little bit of blending. Yep, definitely streaky. I'm not sure if it's the paper because Amazon paper is not the best. Let's add some shade to the bottom edge of this collar. Maybe we can bring in a grey to try and put some highlights. I don't think the yellow would work quite as well. Blending that a little bit before it dries. And this one does actually dry a lot darker than how it actually goes down, this dark brown. Still not totally dark, not a really nice rich dark brown. I think the only really a dark colour we've got going on there is the black, so... Sorry, there's a lot of clicking as I change sides here. Although it is handy having 2 shades of the same colour on one pen. I will also add that as a little plus. I don't tend to work super quickly though. So there we go, there's his robe. Let's see. Maybe we could use this kind of mustard yellow as a highlight for his robe. Might give the effect that the sunlight is yellow. There is a very limited palette here, which I don't mind. I don't mind working with limited palettes at all. It's definitely a bit of a challenge, especially with a new medium. You're not entirely sure how to use it. Oh, that looks nice, going around the edge. Looks quite nice. Shall we try actually bringing back some of this line work? The black. Try not to give wobbly lines. For this kind of thing, yeah, the brush nib, I would say that is probably best for anything kind of fiddly, kind of outliney like that. Bits where we've gone over the lines. Yeah, we're not doing too badly. Shall we try the white? Yeah, that's not really working as intended at all, I don't think. That didn't work entirely how I expected it to be honest with you. Good thing is, hopefully we can go over with the green. The white barely worked on top of that yellow, and the white isn't that opaque. It's not really giving the kind of bright highlights like a white gel pen would, so always good to know. Maybe it's not the best to be using as a highlighter. So yeah, for white highlights, even using these, I would bring in the white gel pen rather than trying to do it with the actual white. Again, not sure if that's true for every brand of these because, yeah, I'm not all that experienced. So let's see, how about the grey? Grey for these rocks. Maybe seeing as this is kind of a fantasy picture anyway, we could bring in a fantasy colour for the trees. Instead of competing with Baby Yoda, maybe we could bring in some other colour for the trees in the background there. I think first though, I'll probably do the sky, maybe the water. And we'll see how we're looking after we've done the sky and the water. But any of it could be any fantasy colour really, couldn't it? It's all pretty much alien worlds in this book. Let's do all these rocks. Maybe we could bring in pink and purple for the trees. That might be quite interesting. I'm not entirely sure if these are rocks or lily pads to be honest, but we're going to go with rocks I think. Okay, that's all rocks I'm thinking. And for those, I'll try shading with the darker grey out of these two. Still not a super dark grey. I'll try maybe trying to bring in the same kind of mark making that Morgan O'Brien has used there, this kind of hatching style he's got going on. Okay, over that line up there. Maybe these are supposed to be like craters of some sort, I don't know. Alien rocks. Shading would be towards the bottom I would imagine, and then there'll be a shadow underneath our little baby Grogu himself. Okay, well that's not turned out exactly as I hoped it would. We'll play about with it until we find something that works. The usual tactic hasn't failed me yet. Not terrible. It's a real shame this white doesn't work. Oh no. Can we make something a little bit lighter on the side? Probably ruining the markers by doing that, but trying to get a little bit of texture on the stone. I went with the black and then tried to blend it in really quickly with the darker grey. To make it look a little bit darker down the bottom of that stone there. I'm probably really overthinking this. I do tend to do that a lot. We probably don't even need any kind of texture on that rock. Still not super happy with that, but we'll carry on. We will soldier on through it. Carry on with these rocks. Yeah, so how I did that shadow in the bottom there. Before the black was dry, I went over the top of it with the grey, which is probably ruining the marker. It was giving me the nice kind of shading that I was after. maybe as long as you carry on colouring with it until the black is kind of worn off, then you're not so bad. Maybe it won't hurt the markers as much as I'm fearing it did. Maybe, if we have got that yellow light coming down, maybe we can add a little bit of the yellow on here. Might draw attention away from how, I won't say bad, I will say how much far away from how I wanted it the rest of the rock is looking. Maybe I should be doing more of a kind of a spotty technique, but I wanted to try and carry on the same idea of making that Morgan O'Brien was actually using. I suppose the good thing is you can keep going over and going over until you actually have it right, because you can go over the darks with the lights and the lights with the darks, and it's all pretty good. Maybe we need a little bit more of a darker shadow around here. Show that Baby Yoda is standing on there. Baby Grogu. The black seems to take the longest to dry because it is possible to actually go over like that and pick up the colour. Thinking maybe with a bit of luck, as long as you keep colouring with the marker until the black is all worn off, then you're not going to damage it too much. That's not looking terrible. That's slightly better than it was, I think. Let's try adding in the white gel pen and let it work on top. I think it's already clear. I'm going to need a ton more practice. I need to figure things out. Okay, I'm going to call that done after a little bit of messing about with that rock there. It's still not 100%, but I think once I've got the river background in with the water and the sky, it might start looking a little bit better. Every picture goes through an ugly stage, right? At least most of mine do. There's usually a stage where you look at it and you're thinking, yeah, I really don't like the way that's going. But if you just carry on and work through it, I usually find that it works out in the end. So we're going to persevere. We're just going to leave our rock as is there. Not spend too much time fretting about it. A little bit more yellow, I think, for the yellow lights, wherever that's coming from. Maybe the sky could be yellow. And then the trees could be blue. Now that would be interesting. I think I did a yellow sky and another one in here somewhere. Okay, and for the water I was going to try the turquoise colour. So maybe that would work well with a, with a yellow sky. And after all, why not? We're talking alien planets here, and I don't think water is this colour in any kind of planet. Oh, this is a lovely colour, but yeah, I wouldn't say it was entirely a water kind of colour. So maybe we will go for the alien colours for the rest of it. So I'll just go ahead and colour the rest of this river. Again, we might be having the problem with the brush strokes being pretty visible. Another layer would fix that. It does seem to be ripping up the paper, this one. Maybe the tip is a little bit firmer than the others we've been working with, because this one does seem to be tearing up the paper very slightly. Definitely on this side as well. I've just turned the book slightly there so we can go over to the other side, carry on with this turquoise colour. And we do seem to be ripping up the paper. Although this is Amazon paper, which, as I've said a couple of times, I think already, that it's not the very best. This could actually be a British Amazon paper as well, which is among the worst, unfortunately. And the tip of this pen does seem to be a lot firmer than the others. The others have been very slightly softer than this, and this one does seem to be tearing up the paper, which may prove to be a bit of a pain if we're going to go over with another layer. Although we do have the lighter kind of teal blue on the other end of the pen, so maybe that nib is slightly better and we'll be able to work with that one. Over the top, we'll see. We'll try with the lighter blue. Yeah, this nib is a lot softer. So yeah, I'm thinking it's maybe the nib on that pen there that's causing the problems. It does seem to be a lot firmer than the others. So anyways, we're going over with this lighter kind of teal colour now, trying to add some sort of ripples to get some kind of water effect going on. And I'll probably add a few kind of sparkles, water sparkles in the sun with the white gel pen on top of that. And that rock does seem to be blending in a lot better now, so I'm not entirely sure what's supposed to be here, but we'll make that the lighter teal green as well. This side of the water would be a lot lighter, as we decided that our sun is coming from over this side, or our yellow light. We have clouds there as well. Oh, nice. What colour can the clouds be? This is where the fun stuff starts coming in. We can use any colour. Not that you can't anyways in any kind of colouring picture, but especially as this is supposed to be an alien world. I'm looking at the colour of this water, then yeah, that's definitely an alien world. There are a couple more rocks there that I didn't shade. Let's pop in a little bit of this darker grey. We don't have any numbers or colours on these, so it's just going to have to be dark grey, light blue, dark blue. Let's try adding some water sparkles here. It is a little bit difficult because the book's on a slant. I'm trying to keep in frame, be able to see what I'm doing, and hopefully that you can see what I'm doing, you guys. So far I would say definitely a fun kind of medium to play with. Not a brilliant one to use with a limited palette, I would say. The quality of the nibs, as I've said with that dark teal green just now, the nib on that one is really, really firm, and that was tearing up the paper, whereas most of them are fine. You don't need to worry about that too much, but that teal green, very firm. And there are a couple when we were swatching that are really, really fluffy and can't really hold a good point. I think I went a bit too crazy with my highlights there, so I'll just knock those back a little bit. But now we need to decide. I'm thinking that I want pink clouds, so let's go for it. I think I might use this really light pink. I think this is the really light pink, the one that I liked. On the back of this red here, yeah, this is the pink I think for clouds. I'm thinking of making the trees blue and purple, just to have some fun with it. Yep, definitely fun. I will say, really quick, definitely fun. But you would probably need a pretty, unless you had a much bigger set of the pens, you probably need a pretty chunky picture with big areas to colour in. But yeah, definitely fun to use, I think. I think you would need to choose your picture pretty carefully, because you do have a pretty small selection of pens, unless you buy one of the bigger, more expensive sets, like Artex, which I haven't tried. I'm going to go in with this darker pink. And yeah, you would have to choose your picture fairly carefully, judging from the selection of pens that you do have, because I don't think blending with them would be very easy. But it's definitely fun thinking, as you're having to make the shading pretty blocky, like we have here, that, yeah, how you would actually do that, which colours to use. And this is quite a fun picture for that, because, yeah, it is an alien world, so maybe. Oh, now I'm getting into it. Now we can have a little bit of a purple shadow there. Does that work? I have really no idea. Maybe we should have tried to blend those pinks a little bit more. Let's try. Let's go over the edge there so the edge is wet. And in with the lighter one. Yeah, a little bit of blending while the pen is still wet is definitely possible, but I would say that's probably not the main way to blend these. If there is a main way to blend these, I really don't know. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if I should make the sky yellow, because I did try a yellow sky. This one here, I tried a yellow sky, and my son actually said he looks as if he's going to a rave in that picture with the orange and yellow lighting there, so maybe not a yellow and orange sky. I don't think I'd be able to get that to actually blend well enough to do a sky that was yellow and orange. Let's try work on this other cloud while I'm thinking about it. And surprisingly, this paper has not buckled super much. I've decided against that. I've decided against that purple. Which again is a good thing with these. If you don't like the colour, you can just go over like that. Yeah, I think it's better without. But yeah, good thing is you can go over the dark colours with the light colours. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure whether to try for a blue sky. The dark blue I think maybe is a bit too dark for a daytime sky though. I'm leaning towards the yellow again, to be honest. Maybe I could cheat and come in with coloured pencils. What about the grass though? We can pick any colour. Shall we try out all of the colours? I was thinking purple and blue for the trees, because the blue isn't a colour we've actually tried yet. We've tried a lot of them. We haven't tried the blue. We do have red and a very dark pink, but I don't think that would work for the sky. We have orange and a very dark orange. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have thought that maybe we could try for some sort of maybe a sunset from orange to yellow. But as it is an alien world, maybe that's just the colour the sky is all the time. We could go from dark orange maybe to the mustard yellow. I'm not sure the dark orange and the light orange would work. Maybe bring in the yellow. The yellow is actually darker than the light orange, so that would have to go up to the actual bright yellow. You know what? There's no point being scared of it, I guess. Let's just go for it. Let's see. Orange. We're going to have to try and blend. Well, this orange is still fairly wet into the lighter orange. Does that work? Hopefully we got that on camera. Does that work? But then we'd have the actual yellow. Let's make sure that's fairly wet. We'd have the actual yellow coming in. Maybe not by his ears. That's not going to work by his ears. I think the yellow have to come in about there, I think. Up. You can go over. I think it would come in where these clouds are. A few little fiddly details here. We keep the orange around his head, I'm thinking, and then bring in this brighter yellow. Try and blend that while the orange is still kind of wet, dampish. And then the rest of that, the sky will be yellow. We can maybe go over the line art of the clouds with the white gel pen, but I have to say I am liking that sky. Yeah, quite like that. How far up did I have? How far up did I have that dark red coming? Just here. We haven't really got much to blend into there, but we will. So yeah, it does seem that, as we've discovered, it's kind of possible to blend them if you work while the pens are still wet, which would probably mean doing tiny little sections at a time. Definitely something I'd need to play with, I think. Give the effect of some sort of sunset sky going on there, even though it's an alien planet. As I said, maybe it's this colour all the time. It'd be very pretty if it was. My blending, definitely not perfect there. Being a first time trying this medium, I think I can excuse myself there, I can forgive it. But I do like it, I really do like it. I wonder if these pens would come through the white gel pen. You know, like alcohol marker, the colour bleeds through if you use a pink or a blue underneath white gel pen. The colour does start kind of seeping through. I wonder if that would work with these, if it would happen with these acrylic markers. Something to test a little bit later on. This is basically just me dipping my toe into using the medium of our acrylic markers. There may be better results to be gotten from the more expensive ones, but I think if it's something that I'm probably not going to use all that often, I'm happy just to play around with a cheap set every now and then that's probably what I'll stick to. Unless any good Amazon deals pop up soon. Now we still have the problem of figuring out what colour we're going to do our trees on the grass. There we go. And it's streaky. If it is kind of streaky in that sky, I think that will just work with the effect we've kind of got going on anyways. So that's fine. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Although you could go over with another layer if you were really bothered about that. But for a little try, I'm just testing these out. We're just seeing what we can do here. I really wanted to bring in this light blue on the trees and a little bit of purple. So I don't know whether to try blending from this light blue into the light purple. Because the light blue isn't completely light, so let's try blending from this light blue into the light purple. Is that working in a kind of tree-ish way? Bring in the dark blue. Oh, wasn't this the one with one of the fluffy tips on it? I think it might have been actually. Yeah, this tip is a bit fluffy. And adding the yellow, very bright yellow as a highlight onto this purple should work quite nicely. We may need to go over the line art for that again a little bit. But I quite like the way that is actually looking. Do we have some more kind of bushes and stuff here? I think we probably do. That's the bank, isn't it? That's the river bank coming along here. This looks as if it's the bottom of that tree, so this is another bush. Let's stick with the blue and then the purple. We started to play with it now, so I do apologise. I'm wandering randomly off and trying things. Do a few little dots there, maybe look like some sort of leaves. And I've just thought what I could try. I told you, playing is blending this dark purple into the darker pink. Maybe that would work quite well with some like alien trees around here. So we're gonna dark purple. Make sure that's all fairly wet. And coming in with the dark pink. Maybe you could even put the light pink on. Yeah, don't really need all those kind of spots. I think that's making it a bit too bitty, too much going on. A few there. Yeah, yes. I like that. We're really going crazy with our colours now, but I'm liking it. I really am liking it. Then you have to have all your pens kind of uncapped, ready to dive in and blend if you're going to try this. Which I'm not sure if it's advised. I'm not sure if it's a kind of a technique you're supposed to do, but it seems to be working. I think maybe if you do try it, maybe clean off your markers until they come just like pure colour again, like until that one turned back to pure pink, just to make sure that there isn't any kind of dark pink or purple left on there. And that light pink on the edges. It dries. I think that one dried a little bit too much. You have to be super fast. I think that's working really well. Let's add the yellow light in. I love these nice bright colours. I will say that's another plus. The colours are really super saturated, really bright. Will take some getting used to, definitely. Maybe this one here should be the purple as well. But again, you can go over. And you can put in the purple and the pink. There we go. Blue? What do you mean blue? I didn't colour that blue. It's always been pink and purple. There we go. Yeah, that's definitely better. I think maybe we leave the blue and the... Oops. Clean the nib there. Yeah, get rid of that purple. That's good. We leave the blue and the light purple for the trees. Okay, we do have a little teeny tiny bush here as well. Or is that supposed to be a rock? No, I might make that into a rock. Because these rounded shapes here, they look as if they're supposed to be rocks to me. Most of the other rocks have those kind of rounded shapes to them. My hands are getting covered in paint. Never mind. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'll turn that into a rock. Terrible. Are there any colours we haven't really used? Because we do have some kind of fruit or flowers on this little tree here. Is there any colours we haven't used? I think only reds, the dark reds. I'm not entirely sure that would... Maybe this one. Not sure if these are fruit or flowers, but yeah, they're there. There we go. And for the grass, should we stick with the blue for the grass? We do have another bush over the other side. We'll do that while we're thinking about it. To uncap all my pens again. Purple, pink, light pink. This light pink, this really light pink, that has one of the really firm nibs as well. So that might not be something to be covering a really large area with, but it seems to vary from pen to pen with these. But we are on the budget end of the scale. I think this tree, or this bush, probably needs a little bit of a line up, bringing back there. Looking a little bit messy, and this tree as well. You could bring in the trusty gel pen. A few little white highlights here. I just look so happy. Oh man. Okay. Still haven't quite decided what colour my grass is going to be. It can't really be green because Baby Yoda's hands are over there. There aren't really many colours we haven't used. It can't be brown. It could be the mustard yellow. It could indeed be the mustard yellow. Try for the mustard yellow. I'm not entirely sure what colour I would shade that with though. Kind of blends into the sky a little bit, but I think I can live with it. Bring in that red, which is another colour we haven't used, which would also give us a bit of contrast with the green I've got there. It does tend to blend into the sky a little bit there. I didn't really think that through super much, but maybe I can add my own little bit of line art and do a distinction there. That'll do. That will do. So we have our grass is actually red and mustard yellow. Okay. Alien world. Keep telling myself. Alien world. It can be crazy. It's an alien world. And we're having fun. Yeah, there's absolutely no point being scared of it. Maybe it's a little bit dull, but it is in the background. Completely in the background. Should hopefully make this bush stand out quite nicely with the yellow and the purple. Red there is not the easiest one to blend in. It's too bad under there. Let's give it a little bit of grass texture. Because our yellow light would be shining. It's lower than it is that side, but we have a hill apparently. It's a hill, okay, so that's why it's higher up. I don't suppose it's all that noticeable anyways. It is two different banks of the river, I would imagine, so one being higher than the other wouldn't make all that much difference anyways. And let's finish with this tree. A little bit of shading behind Gregousias. In places the line art, Morgan O'Brien's line art isn't totally closed off, so it's a little bit hard to figure out what you're doing in places, but I think we're doing okay, considering we're using a £4 set of markers. I'm not entirely sure why that is in dollars, $5 or $6 set of markers maybe. I think we turned out pretty well. Look at that tree. That was fun actually, the tree. Let's add our yellow light. Last little pine tree here in the back. Oh, it's an alien tree. It's not even a pine tree, it's an alien tree. They're purple, they can't be pine trees. Okay, a little bit of shadow. But all that's left to do now is to go over and fix some of these line arts that we've kind of gone over. Could go in with a fine line pen. I imagine, I'm not entirely sure if fine line pen works over these, to be honest, which is why I'm sticking to the black here. Apologies for the neighbour's dog, but that's why I'm sticking to the black there, because I know it will work over the top of all these other colours. I'm not entirely sure whether a fine liner would. And I think the last finishing touch and a little bit of the white gel pen just for this tree here. And maybe a tad too much, but who cares? We're having fun. There we are with our finished image, and I have to say I'm really happy with how that turned out. I even don't mind my rock down here that I had so much struggle with. I really don't mind that too much at all. Now that everything's done and it's all working together, I'm loving the really bright, vibrant colours. I think it is a medium, if I do want to carry on using it, it's something that I really do need to practice with, especially the blending, which I was starting, I think, to get the hang of, if that is the actual way you're supposed to blend with them. Maybe I should watch some tutorials or something, but that seems to be the way. If you're going to blend, that is the way. Don't take my word for it, but I think as long as you clean off your nib, if you do a little bit of blending, you clean off the nib of the pen, make sure it's running clear, if you know what I mean, or the other colour you were blending with, all that is kind of worked off onto a spare piece of paper. I think that is the way that you blend them, which seemed to work quite well, especially for this sky here. I love the sky, I love these bushes. There are kind of pros and cons to it, I suppose. The lighter colours especially were pretty streaky. You can still see that with this really light grey on this rock. The really light grey was streaky. The light brown on his robe was streaky. I think this light green was as well that we coloured his skin. That light green was really streaky. Needed 2 coats. A couple of coats fixed it for his skin, not so much for the rock. I think that's got about 4 layers on it, on that rock, because I really wasn't happy with it. And that still looks a little bit streaky to me. I'm not sure if that's showing up on the camera, but yeah, that rock is still a little bit streaky. It's good that you can go over the top of the dark colours with the light colours like you can with acrylic paint, so there's not that much fear of messing up because you can just go back over the top as we did here. That brush was blue, I didn't like it, now it's purple. I just went over the top with the purple. You can see a slight tinge of blue to it, I think, but you can pretty much go over the top. They're not 100% opaque, which we found right at the beginning when I did manage to go over some line art and it wasn't quite opaque. I think you'd probably need a couple of layers before you actually got to being opaque with those. The white wasn't that great at all. I was expecting it to be like the white gel pen with these really bright whites being able to go over the top of the other colours, but no, that wasn't happening. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. As I've said before, I've never really tried them until now, and these are really on the budget end of the spectrum for acrylic markers. I just bought them to maybe have a try out, film it and show you guys how I actually got along with them. It's always fun to try new mediums, figure out how to use them or ways that you like to use them. I think for simple images like this that you can shade like a cartoon with this kind of really simple shading, I think that they would really work well for that. The blending, as I said, it's a little bit hit and miss. Some of them blend better than others and you have to be really super quick. I'm not entirely sure, as I've said, that is how you are supposed to blend them. It does kind of sort of work for little areas such as we did on these trees and here on the pine trees, and for the sky it worked quite well. So all in all, quite a fun medium to use. I don't think it's one that I would use to colour a whole image unless it was a really simple, not realistic at all image, such as this one, really simple, not realistic. You have to bear in mind the very limited colour palette and choose your picture kind of accordingly to that. I think with this being an alien world, little baby Grogu there on an alien world, it doesn't really matter what colour you did anything, and you have at least 2 shades of every colour in this little set anyways, which helps with that because you want to do clouds pink, you have 2 shades of pink, you can do your shading and your base coat. So yeah, it was fun and really super quick. I'm surprised it's taken maybe an hour and a half or so to colour this picture, which is really short for me. So it was fun in that way that you could really see results pretty quickly. Hopefully that has been a little bit of help to anyone who was thinking about trying out the acrylic paint markers and what kind of effect you could get with them. These are, as I've said quite a few times, budget acrylic markers, but I think for me, just to have a play around, try out the medium, see if I liked it, see if I liked the way they lay down on the paper, stuff like that. I think it is definitely worth it for just being £4 for the set. I think definitely fun for a little experiment, a little play around. I have no idea how long they will last, how long it will take them to run out, but being fairly cheap, then that doesn't really matter too much. I don't think I'll be using them overly. So yeah, all in all, really fun colouring little session today, and hopefully you've enjoyed following along with me, seeing how I got to grips with these markers. As a little note before I do sign off, I've just now realised as I'm packing away these markers, they do actually have numbers on each of the colours. Like for instance this one, see if I can get that to focus, that is number 23, the other side is number 24. So I could have been telling you the colours numbers as I went along, but unfortunately I didn't notice. Hopefully it will be enough for me to say the light blue, the dark blue, because there is only one blue marker, one green marker, stuff like that. The only ones that might be a little bit confusing is the reds and the pinks, but anyways, I'm hoping that the video makes sense, even with me not realising they do have numbers. They do. That was my bad. I'll write them down on my little swatch sheet before I clear up. If you have enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you in future videos. Bye.